Hello. Today we're going to be looking at the birchmeier and how to break it down, what each pieces go with, and what have you. You will need a couple tools that your manager can provide. You will need a Phillips screwdriver, and you will need a flathead screwdriver, and you will need channel locks. If your birchmeier does have any type of chem, you will always need to use eye protection and appropriate gloves that are unlined. They cannot be lined. So real quick, let's go and break into how to take apart this birchmeier. Okay, so now what we have is our extended band. That's B&G, but you know, same process. Right here we have a little nut that we can screw off to make sure that there are no things inside the tube. And so you can look down here and you can look down here. Sometimes you can take a paper clip on the end here after you take off this filter of your extended band, and then you replace, just in case there are any type of obstructions with your flow of water. You want to make sure that you screw this piece back on so that it doesn't leak. We all know we don't need ag rolling up on us with a leaky backpack. That's one part of the handle. The second part of the handle is in this piece right here. We want to unscrew and pull it up. We don't want to turn to the side because there's a filter in here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking off the wrong one. This is the hose. This is to connect the hose to the backpack itself. But if we were to take the handle itself and unscrew like this, we want to pull completely to make sure we don't break this filter. As you can see, my filter has not been cleaned in a couple of stops, and so it's getting all gunky. What I would do is just run that under a hose at a customer's house or a controlled area. We don't want to be washing it in the sink, obviously, because it has pesticides. We clean out that filter. Those filters should be checked, I want to say at least once a month, just to see if they're broken or need repair. But you should be checking that filter probably every 1 or 2 days to make sure that it's not completely messed up. Okay, so now we have the birchmeier. Here's your straps, standard straps. Here is the lid. What's up, guys? I'm making a video. No problem. So what we have here is a filter. This filter is going to stop any type of debris from going into the tank and going through the whole pump housing. Inside, obviously we put our liquid and everything. So this is the main tank. This one takes up to 2.5 gallons. Some of you have 3 gallons, some of you have 4 gallons. It is tagged for the pesticide that I was using. I already went ahead and put water in it, so it should be clear on the lines. This is the pressure housing. We're going to unscrew this, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Make sure it's depressurized. Obviously I already have the handle off, so I would have known that it had pressure already. This is an empty backpack though. And you pulling off this is where all the pressure is held. Every time you're pushing down on the handle, the pressure gets held in this pressure housing. In here is what we call a flow regulator. So this little white thing right here, I know it's kind of hard to see, is a flow regulator. What we're going to do is we're going to pop this flow regulator out by pulling upwards, not sideways, upwards. And then we're going to check and see if the springs are working correctly and if this little rubber piece is situated right. If you're having issues like it's not holding pressure, so like you're hitting down the handle and it doesn't build up pressure into this little housing, it's usually because of this O-ring right here. This O-ring has lost its ability to function, and so we want to replace the O-rings every 6 months, and we want to replace this pressure valve at least once a year. And your manager should know where to have them and have spare ones laying around if you guys are using the birchmeier. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop that back on in. It's a little brittle, but not super brittle. We're gonna put this housing back down. and then screw it, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay, there's another couple functions on the birchmeier that we want to take a look at when we're maintaining it. If you were having trouble pushing down the handle, chances are it's because the piston in this little portion right here, the piston in this little portion right here it doesn't have enough grease. And so this portion right here, this little thingamajigger right here, we put the grease in it. You just unscrew it, like so. And there's where you put the grease. And the grease, you put it on this little thing, and you do about a quarter turn every single time that it becomes harder to push down this handle for pressure. And as long as your pistons are greased up, it's going to be working phenomenally. And then it's going to be working phenomenally, and you don't have to replace all these parts. So I am going to replace that down there. However, there are a couple cool other features on it. I'm not going to break it down completely, but if you are, see, let me put this back here. I like the orientation where my hand is, the left hand is, pressurizing. When I got it, the handle was on the right. I had to switch it. Is that a difficult switch? Not at all. But the tools that you will need are going to be the flathead screwdriver. Flathead screwdriver, back here we have connecting the main chamber, the piston, and the pressure housing is this little screw. We're going to unscrew it. Like I said, if you have liquid in here, it's going to dump out when you do this, so make sure it's empty. And you could use channel locks to loosen and tighten it. It does have a lot of threads, so make sure you do it. So this is the first portion we're going to do. So you have to make sure that your piston is released from the main body house. And then on the back here, on the bottom, we have these two, so we take the main body from the piston and we just pull up. And so you could see, I'll hold it up closer. You could see that my piston here has taken a lot of damage over time. I've had this backpack for maybe 6 years, probably about 5 years. But it has taken damage over time, and so from time to time, once a year, you would have to take that out, clean it up, and then apply the grease. But for this portion, what we're going to be needing to do, in order to swap the handle, we're going to have to take the flathead screwdriver and undo these flathead screws, like so. What that's going to do is it's going to remove this little piece. I'm not going to do it for the sake of time because it does take a couple minutes. But what this is going to do is going to remove this little housing right here at the bottom. And then I'm going to be able to fold this piston back. And then once I fold this piston back, I can disattach this piston from the main body, and I can literally just pull the handle and swap it to the other side. And then you do the reverse of putting it back together. Put the handle back on, you put the piston back in its seat, and then you take your main body and you put it back in, like so. That's how I know it's been a while since I've cleaned it. She will go back in. And then we take goes back in there, and then we re-screw back up, make sure that it's on there tight. If you're going to have most leaking issues from your backpack, it's going to be this little screw right here. If you got a leaking issue in your handle, it probably needs to have some type of plumbing tape. But if you have a backpack that itself is leaking, it's usually going to be from this screw right here. So make sure you have some channel locks. You just tighten that baby down, and then you're good to go. If you have any more questions, they have this cool thing on the back of most of our backpacks. You can just take your little smartphone, and it's a QR code, and you just let's see, take a good old picture there. Picks up the QR code, and it pulls up the website for Birchmeier and all the parts you may need. Sorry, it's still loading. It pulls up, come on over. So it pulls up Birchmeier website and goes through all the troubleshooting options and all the possible parts you may need for the Birchmeier. And that way, if you have any questions that a manager or yourself can't answer, that's good for that situation. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask your manager, or let me know if you have any questions on how to break a Birchmeier down and put it back together. Have a good day.